I'm Peter Jacobson. I'm a science teacher at Faribault High School, and I teach 10th grade biology, and then I teach two other very unique classes, one called Wildlife Field Biology, and then a new course that we're doing, which is an internship for the field biologist here at Riverbend Nature Center. I'm going to talk about the Wildlife Field Biology class. That's a class that runs for a full year, and students do several different field studies in Rice County. One location that we utilize a lot in the field biology class is Riverbend Nature Center. This center is a very diverse nature center showing several different biomes, all very close together. There's a wonderful prairie, there is the woods, and then we have the river next to it as well. So we've got some nice wetlands to study. And we utilize them throughout the year. In the fall, we do a small mammal study, and that's done out on the prairie and on the edge of the woods. And we capture mainly deer mice and some other small rodents, and we do just a quick analysis of those animals, get their weight, try to determine the species, which most often is deer mice, and we measure them and then we release them. And it's an opportunity for students to handle live animals, learn how to treat them with respect and care, to collect data. And we've done this for several years so the students can look at a historical data from previous years and compare to what they've done. We also do a prairie study where we do an inventory of samples from the prairie. They set up a line transect and they do 10 samples of what organisms, primarily prairie plants, are in these 10 sampling areas. And then again, we've done this for several years so they can compare it to some historical data. Our culminating activity takes place in the spring, and that's a very exciting project for me and the students. We work on squirrels, and we do a squirrel study looking at their behavior, their use of habitat, and it's all revolves around using radio tracking materials. So it's a radio telemetry class. I've got an antenna and a receiver. I actually have several of them for the students to use. And to make this work, we have to capture squirrels and put a radio collar on them. So we've done that the last 2 years and been very successful with that. The students come out once a week or more often in the springtime to try to locate their squirrels. First we had to capture them, usually in March, and put the collars on them, then we release them, and then we track them and see where they're located and try to identify why they're in that place. And students build their skills on using the radio telemetry equipment as well as building their knowledge on squirrel behavior and habitat. And by the end of the spring, when we do this project, we find that the students are able to locate the squirrels and even actually watch them because they've gotten better at locating them quietly. The squirrels maybe have gotten a little bit used to us tromping around in the woods looking for them. But I'll just give you a little example of what happens when they get out there. Each squirrel has its own radio frequency on the collar, and it's like a transmitter. And that transmitter on the squirrel's neck or on the collar is sending out a signal. So we have to tune into them with our receiver and antenna. And if you listen carefully, you can hear that I've got a squirrel right now coming in on the receiver, and when we get closer to it, you can hear the intensity goes up, and they learn how to adjust it to find intensity. And you can hear now that I'm not pointing towards the squirrel. I'll point towards the squirrel now, and the intensity of the sound goes up. So they learn how to do that, and there's many things that can cause a change in the signal as well. They learn about working in wooded areas versus open areas. They learn about working in areas by buildings or where there might be the cliff faces along the river. So it's really exciting for the students to master a technique of using radio tracking to locate these squirrels. And this is a skill set that field biologists still use today with all of our modern equipment, with GPS units, with satellites. We can do some pretty cool things tracking animals, but there's still scientists out there doing this very basic technique so that they can get up and close and personal and learn more about the animals. Students have been very successful in this class and enjoy it immensely, and it's very fun to teach as well. Thank you to Riverbend.